Good afternoon, YouTube. Welcome back once again to Fat Cat Collections. Today I got another great smart home tech product for you, and this is another smart home security camera. Now, if you've been watching this channel for a while, you guys know there's a whole bunch of different products that I feature, and really there's always something for everyone, you know. Part of my goal when I created this channel was to really just share, you know, any kind of product to get my hands on, whether it's through something I buy or through a sponsored review like this one, just to share my 2 cents on this stuff. You know, there's so many products on Amazon, it becomes kind of overwhelming when you're looking to buy something. So, the product I want to share with you guys today is Reolink's flagship camera. Now, Reolink is a company that I've worked with in the past. They were nice enough years ago to send me one of their solar-powered battery security cameras, right? Fantastic camera. One thing I really like about Reolink, as compared to a lot of the competitors out there, is that everything's really kind of fine-tuned. Their app works great. It's not flooded with like any kind of ads like a lot of the other kind of more inexpensive brands like this. I'm just going to show you real quick. Just something like this, for example. And these all work great, don't get me wrong, but this is like an eBay or Amazon special in the $40 price range. Reolink, you are going to pay more for a camera like this, but you're getting a lot more bang for your buck. So I'm going to show you, you know, I already unboxed it, but I'm going to show you the box, of course. And then we'll talk a little bit about the features and give you guys my kind of my initial thoughts on the testing. This camera will actually be replacing one of those other cameras that I just showed you out in front of my house. So this is a very robust camera, probably the nicest camera that I've reviewed to date. So here's the box. Reolink always has a kind of this like aqua colored blue and white. Then they show the camera right in the front, some features, and I'm not going to get too involved in showing off the box. Reolink's kind of motto or mantra, if I'm using that word correctly, is be prepared, Reolink. And that's pretty much sums it up. You know, every company, all the brands generally have a little kind of company saying, just be prepared. That's kind of the idea behind having a security camera. You know, you hope that you never need it, right? But it gives you the peace of mind. And in today's day and age, you know, I find more and more houses with cameras. But I find a lot of folks tend to go into like their local Best Buy just because they don't know a lot about this stuff, and they tend to spend a lot more than you have to. If you're going to buy, and don't get me wrong, all these cameras are great. There's lots of brand names you can get out there if you go into a big brick and mortar store, but you tend to pay a little bit of a premium for those compared to what you're actually getting. Don't get me wrong, they're still great, but a camera like this is really a cut above. So let me just show you the camera first. So here is the pan tilt camera. So this is a pan tilt zoom. This is a 4K 8 megapixel pan tilt camera. Obviously you get 2 antennas. This is extremely important when you're mounting a camera outside. A lot of folks just think that, oh well, I have a really great router. I can put this outside, not have any kind of connection issues. Remember, that communication is two-way. So you could have the best router in your house or wireless access point with really strong signal, but if that little camera can't send that signal back, you're going to get delays. And I found with even a home like mine, which is not, you know, insanely large, and I have, you know, ubiquity access points, which are cut above, you know, I do have connection issues sometimes. So it really depends on where you're mounting this. Remember, you may think that, oh, it's just a wall between my access point and the camera. It makes a difference. So with the Reolinks, with cameras like this, you're going to get these 2 higher gain antennas that are directional. So again, depending on where you are mounting this, generally the good rule of thumb is always to point the antennas up, but you may have a situation where, you know, like in my case, my access points are ceiling mounted. This is going to be about 9 foot off the ground. I tend to kind of tip these down a little bit to kind of send that signal up at an angle a little bit to kind of help communicate a little more effectively with the wireless access point. It's also a 2.4 and 5 gigahertz spectrum camera, right? So pretty much all inexpensive cameras, most smart home tech devices you're going to get, tends to go with only 2.4 gigahertz spectrum. Now, each channel, each spectrum has advantages. The 2.4 gigahertz penetrates better through walls and has a longer range, but the 5 gigahertz channel actually is less congested. You get better connection if you're within that range to get that connection, right? So what will ultimately happen is your wireless access point, if you are broadcasting on a 2.4/5 gigahertz mixed network, wherein what I mean by that is you're not broadcasting 2 separate networks. So let's say you have a network name like, you know, Bob. Let's say you have Bob 2.4 and then Bob 5. You would select which frequency you would connect to. With something like a mixed broadcast, your router or your access point is going to determine which is the best spectrum for the distance, for the device, based on its compatibility. So it kind of takes the guesswork out of it. So that's pretty cool. I can tell you right now, I've never reviewed any other camera by any other company that has the ability to connect with 5 gig. So that's pretty nice that they give you that feature. It is a full pan tilt zoom camera, very quiet on the rotation. It does have, you know, the basics. You have your hybrid 6x zoom, and generally zooms on cameras like this are not, they're digital. They're not like a mechanical or an optical. There is no lens that's actually doing the zooming. It's just a high resolution. You're actually kind of zooming in with your fingers, right? So it's a digital zoom. It does have color night vision, and that's really great because if you have an area that's pretty well lit, you may not want the infrared. Like for me, I tend to use these cameras with the higher quality CMOS with just kind of a I put it in auto mode, but it's a standard kind of full color version of night vision, right? It's not all black and white, so just easier to see. And what else? You know, it has your smart person vehicle detection, which I haven't tested yet. I'm really curious to come back to this camera at a later date, see how accurate that is. What I find is when you have, with other brands, when you have, you know, human detection, it works great at picking up human beings, but sometimes you may want to detect if a car is pulling your driveway and nobody gets out, right? So I'm really curious to see how well it's going to work. Most of the time I have my cameras on just full detection, so whatever they pick up, they pick up. The downside to that is trees moving, you know, garbage flying across the ground. You know, if it's a really windy day and like a milk jug goes flying down the street, you're going to pick that up, and you get a lot of kind of false alerts, and they're not really false, but they're alerts that you wouldn't normally have to check if the camera was smart enough to know what's a person, a vehicle. That's really the two things you're really going to be focusing on is people. You know, you're not too worried about animals for the most part, although that might be an issue for you. But you know, cars and people, right? What else you get here? So you might notice while I'm holding this, there's 2 lenses. So what's really cool about this camera, this is basically 2 cameras in one. You have a kind of more of a panoramic wide-angle lens, and then you have basically a zoomed-in lens. So wherever you point this, of course you can't point it in 2 different directions, but wherever you're focused on this, you're going to get 2 images. And when you open the app, you basically see what you normally see as like just a standard screen. You're going to see that divided in half. And that'll allow you to really zoom in on something. Like if you're looking at something, you can get the whole wide angle, and then you can actually see whatever's going on. Maybe a license plate, maybe a face, whatever the case may be. You're going to get high resolution and be able to really, you know, pick out who that might be. A lot of other cameras that are more affordable, my best way of describing the use is you're going to be able to tell if somebody's in your driveway, in your backyard. You can tell if something's going on, but you're not really going to be able to really, you know, you might not be able to get a license plate. You might not be able to get a video that's good enough for you to actually see what the person looks like to identify them later. So great peace of mind with this camera. Before I read you, a little bit more about the description of this camera here, what's really cool about it is that you have a spotlight mode, so this thing can actually act as a motion sensor light, which is great. Because a lot of times, deterrence is really important. So if you just have something like this on the side of your house and somebody walks up, they may not know there's a camera. Remember, you're not trying to, with home security, you're not necessarily trying to, like catch somebody. You're really trying to prevent somebody and just deter somebody from maybe picking your house. And placement of the cameras, there's lots that goes into that. But having a light pop on when somebody walks up, they're going to notice that at night and then say, oh, that's more than just a standard like motion sensor light, and they may decide not to go up to your house, right? So all that's a deterrent. Thieves will much rather not come up to a house with cameras on it and house that are well lit than one that's dark. This is kind of common sense. The other thing about this that I really like, when you feel this, when you order this, this is all metal. So the top portion's plastic, of course, the bracket, but parts of looks like the camera itself is like a plastic, and it needs to be that so it can turn faster, I assume. But the actual camera body is all metal. So very heavy. Definitely want to make sure you use all 4 of the screws to mount this. But excellent construction. Super impressed with what you get for your money here. Speaking of, it's $159 with free return. So for $160 for a full 4K 8 megapixel pan tilt zoom camera, that's a pretty competitive price, and you're really getting 2 cameras in one. So just an awesome device. And again, with Reolink, let me put this down because it's actually pretty It's weighted pretty well, right? What else do you get? Well, you do get an Ethernet cable, so this is capable of being hardwired right into your network. If you have the option to do that, I always recommend doing that. Hardwiring a camera is much better. Make sure you get the cord, of course, and the signal cable out of reach, right? You don't want somebody being able to locate your camera and just snip it or something, right? So kind of run that in through the soffits. Maybe you have an outlet up in your overhangs. That's always the best way of mounting stuff like this. Don't want to put it up too high. Make sure you put it up in a distance where it's close enough to see somebody, but you don't want it, 20 feet in the air. Camera like this not going to work too well, and most cameras wouldn't for those particular purposes. Generally, 9 to 10 foot is a pretty good height for mounting cameras. So you do get the cable if you want to use that. You do get a weather-resistant seal for that. You do get some screws, and they give you wall anchors. I'm not sure why you'd need the wall anchors unless you're mounting this inside your house. And let's face it, this wouldn't look very nice in the living room. This is really an outdoor camera. But you may have an area you want to use it, business, whatever. And then you get an extension cable. So this is great. I've had to buy these in the past. This basically allows you to extend the power cable, and you can just see just a male and female connection, and you basically just put this in line with the power cord, which they give you as well. And that's really nice because you may want to put this somewhere up high. And one thing, a big pet peeve of mine is when companies send cameras out to people, or you buy a camera and it doesn't come with some kind of extension. No matter what camera you buy, whether it's, well, battery powered is a little bit different because you may use a solar panel, but a lot of cameras out there, they're designed to be used outdoor, they're designed to be used indoor, and they just don't give you the extension. So the power cable, whether it's a USB adapter or an actual kind of built-in transformer like this one, most companies don't give you the extension, and now you're waiting. How disappointing it is to get your camera, be excited to install it, get that peace of mind, and then know you got to wait 4 or 5 more days to order an extension so you can actually plug this in. Most houses, a lot of houses, or I shouldn't say most, but a lot of houses don't have outlets in like the overhangs or second level outdoor outlets, right? So just kind of if you're building a house, you're thinking about that, make sure you kind of take that into consideration. If you have the opportunity where you're self-contracting or you're having a builder build your house, spend the extra money. It's not much more when you're in the process of building to have some Ethernet cables, boxes put into the overhangs or on the second level, so you can plug stuff like this in. Kind of think about that stuff before you finish building the house, right? Because after the fact, it's kind of a pain. All right, so what else do you get with this? You get two-way audio, again, HD resolution, night vision if you want to use it, and that pan tilt technology. It says here auto tracking with 6 times zoom, telephoto lens, and wide angle lens. So it says here you get PT lens, enable auto tracking. There's a little bit of a language barrier here, so forgive me the way I'm reading this. 6 times digital zoom, or excuse me, 6 times hybrid zoom to closely follow and focus on the target. And then you have the ultra wide angle view. It says here, and you can basically, they're saying you can save time with that dual view in one app. You're not jumping behind cameras and you're not zooming in and out. You can still kind of see your whole range and then get that zoomed in shot, if that makes sense. It says here, person, vehicle alert, and pet detection. So that's great. Again, haven't tested that yet, but I will, and I'll come back at a later date. Smartly detects people and vehicles, motion, and sends you real-time accurate alerts. It says here, brand new feature, pet detection. Also allows you to keep an eye on cats and dogs. Rest peace of mind anywhere, anytime. It's great. And it says here, as far as the angle, it says here, the ultra-wide angle lens provides 104 to 38 degrees horizontal and 60 to 21 degrees vertical viewing angles. It can pan 355 degrees, tilt 90 degrees, and track the object a distance of 50 feet during day or night. 8 megapixel full color day and night resolution. Ultra HD sharp color, etc., 4K. And you have flexible storage options. I recommend getting a card. Unfortunately, it's the one pet peeve I have with this device. It didn't come with the SD card. So I did have one. Not a big deal. They're cheap enough. It will support up to 256 gigs, which is great. But really, I use 32. Really, for your recording, you're just gonna record in a loop, and you're gonna basically, how far do you have to go back? You're like, oh, 2 months ago, I think something happened. After, it's not really necessary. So, but if you want to get a bigger one, by all means, I wish they would have included that with the price. It's a very minimal charge for a company just to include a 32 gig because you want to get this, mount it, be happy with it. it sucks to get something to be like, oh man, it didn't come with one, or I forgot about that. Now you're gonna like, what are you gonna mount this 10 feet in the air, and then you have to bring out the ladder again, come back to it. So it's nice to have everything all inclusive. So Reolink, that's one thing. Add the SD card. Even if you're adding an 8 gig SD card, add some kind of SD card where people have the option to record on a loop right when they get it, right out of the box. But overall, I mean, amazing quality. I'm actually more surprised with this one. I always, you know, like I said, by reviewing Reolink in the past, I know what kind of quality you get for your money. This is definitely a line that really should be in big brick and mortar stores. I'm amazed it's not, because the quality's up there with a lot of those other brands you're going to find, you know, like the Blinks, and I'm not sure all the different ones. But, you know, again, there's lots of options out there, but I wholeheartedly recommend this. Again, time will tell how well it works, but again, with the other Reolink cameras I've had in the past, they work really well. And I'm actually using Zomato on some of my like hardline cameras, and I hope down the road to collaborate with Reolink again and test one of their NVR systems and actually hardwire some of their 4K cameras in, because everything seems to work really seamlessly, and I haven't had any issues with their products. So that's it, guys. Let me know if you have any questions. I'm always here to help. I'll put the link in the description where you can pick this up. I highly encourage you, if you're adding outdoor cameras. They're a little big, of course. They're bigger than some of the other pan tilt cameras you can get, but the quality's there. You're getting 2 cameras in one body, and I think you're going to find this is a really fully featured camera for your home. I also like the fact that they have most of the camera in white. So if you're mounting this somewhere on your siding or like on your trim work, is most time where people are going to mount this. And a lot of houses have white trim. It's going to blend in a little bit. So I like that. I'm glad they didn't make the camera all black. It would have been nice to actually made this section all white as well, but you know, it's not going to stick out like a sore thumb. Fantastic camera, highly recommended. Anyway, guys, again, drop me a comment, drop me an email if you have any questions and I can help you out in any way. I'm always around to try to lend some assistance. If I don't have the answer, I'll try to get you the answer. And I want to thank Reolink for their generosity once again in sending this camera to me. I really look forward to collaborating with them again in the future. So have a great day, guys. Take care. See you again.